All right. Welcome to another episode of Tuesdays with Audi, and I am your host, Audi. Continuing with mental health and your finances, more specifically, the stock market investment. So last week, we looked at how my entrance and exit strategy and dealing with grief as quickly as possible, as well as anxiety, helped me to benefit from the AMC craze. So this week we are going to look in another one of my investments during the pandemic. And this company is Pennsylvania Real Estate Investment Trust. Ticker symbol PEI. PEI is a mall real estate investment. What they do is that they rent out mall spaces to different retail customers and they get money from issuing those rent. Pretty much the same way as, if you own a house, if you have a tenant, you get rent from them and you call it a day. But you still own the house, right? So that's what PEI does. So I decided to invest in this particular company on the whim of these particular pros and cons. The pros, one, they own real estate. Real estate survives almost everything, and you can always likely leverage it if you need cash. Two, people enjoy the mall experience most of the time, and usually when you buy something, it's an experience more than a logical decision. You want to feel that thing that you buy, you want to see how it looks in terms of if you wear it. In addition to that, you like the smell of new things, which you tend to not really bother us a lot. And another reason was that their rent payment would likely continue after the pandemic is done for their spaces. The cons as to why I should not go into PEI. One, we're in a pandemic and nobody's using the mall. Clearly, why would you actually buy this company if nobody's going to the mall and those spaces are not open? Two, people were at home comfortable shopping online and buying the things that they needed. Three, there was no timeline for when lockdowns would be over and when a vaccine will be available for us to return to some form of social gathering. And four, they could potentially go bankrupt and I could lose all my investments. So with those pros and cons, even though the cons was more than the pros, on May 5th, I bought 75 shares of PEI for $1.10 and periodically continued to buy at least 20 shares in this company all the way up to June 5th when I sold my first shares of PEI at $1.30. Now, did I take out my initial investment in the company? Not at that moment. Eventually, I took out my initial investment out of PEI when it hit a peak of $2.55. I don't have another reason to go back into PEI, but however, they gave me another reason for me to go back in. So on June 15th, PEI, which usually issues a quarterly dividend, stopped paying their dividend during the pandemic. But on June 15th, they decided to pay their shareholders a dividend of 2 cents for all the shares that they held. Whoa, 2 cents? And I got these shares for at least $1? Oh boy. Now they really got me feeling a little bit greedy and I want more shares of this company. Because if you're going to go pay me dividend to this pandemic, you are telling me that you are confident in your ability for you to survive this pandemic and you have enough money on hand for you to do what you need to do for you to survive this pandemic. So then I started buying more shares of PEI. So my thing with PEI was that I had promised myself that I would get out of PEI if their share price reached 90 cents. From the high of $2.55 that they peaked, they tanked to $1 and I bought more shares all the way down to $1. But then PEI hit the 90 cents that I wanted to exit out of the company. What do you think that I did? Wrong. I bought more shares in the company. I completely went against my exit strategy for this company, even though I knew within myself it was not the right decision. But seeing that they gave me a dividend, then why not continue buying the shares if they want to give me some money for me holding shares in this company? And plus I'm getting it cheaper? Whoa, that's ridiculous. Now that I completely violated my exit strategy, I said, okay, well, maybe 90 cents is going to be the lowest that they go, so therefore let me continue buying. Then they went down to 80 cents. I continued buying. It went down all the way to 75 cents. I was like, okay, well, maybe if they get back to 90 cents, I can sell some of this and I can take some of my money out. But when they actually got back to 90 cents, did I sell? No, I continued buying more shares because why? They were still cheap. So then on November 6th, I received an email from Pennsylvania Real Estate Investment. And that email stated, letter to shareholders, Pennsylvania Real Estate Investment Trust is filing for Chapter 11 bankruptcy. My worst nightmare came true. Letter had on it the date that they filed for it was on October 9th, but shareholders did not receive the email until November 6th. But I didn't open the email until about 3 days later for me to read this information. So dog eat my lunch. And the funny thing was that after the 3 days later when I read the email, I checked the price in terms when the emails were sent. The price was lower than the day I actually read the email. So I was like, maybe this is not such a bad thing. So I continued buying more shares, completely in denial that this thing was not true. But for those who don't know what a Chapter 11 bankruptcy, it's a restructuring of the debt of a company to their debtors. So usually most companies come out of a Chapter 11 okay, but on some occasions they don't come out of it and you lose at least 90% of your investment. So from 65 cents, which PEI was trading on that day I saw, which I could have gotten out, the following day, PEI tanked to 40 cents. And I was sitting on a minefield trying to decide, should I hold on these shares and hope that they actually come out of this bankruptcy, or should I sell them and come out of a loss? So because I was in denial of this loss, I said I was gonna hold on to the shares because I don't wanna lose this money. But I called one of my friends. I said, but listen to me, boy. This company is Chapter 11 bankruptcy. What do you think we should do? He's like, well, how much are you losing? I said, at least 50 cents a share. He said, well, take your losses and go home then. I was like, no, we can't do that. What if they come out and, it's a bad thing for us? He's like, well, do you want to lose 50 cents or do you want to lose 90 cents? I was like, well, 50 cents sounds better. He said, well, then lose 50 cents and then call it a day. And I said, what am I supposed to do with all this money I lose? He said, well, it's a loss, then call it a loss and deal with the losses in the best way that you can do. But first of all, learn from the experience in terms of this loss. So after the conversation with my friend, I decided to sell PEI at a loss and take my losses. My losses were accumulation of over $1,000. No. My losses were accumulation of over $1,000 because after all of this buying at a bargain price, I had accumulated over 2,000 shares in this company. That felt like crap. Reflection. When dealing with loss, there are so many things that we go through. Denial. First of all, after reading that email, I was like, no, this is not true. That was a sign that, I was dealing with the loss or I was emotionally invested in this company. And then after I saw the price went up, I was like, oh, maybe this is not so bad. Maybe they're okay. Clearly even adding more to my denial. Bargaining. At some point during that time, I was like, if only they can go back to the average price, which was 90 cents that I had with this company, I would be okay and I could get out and I would save up myself in terms of dealing with this loss. Anger. Having to sell at a loss. I was angry. Like, why are they doing this? Why they couldn't send this email earlier so I would at least know so I could get out? Like, why are they doing this? Like, can they not find another reason for them not to go through this particular process? I was angry at myself and at them for them going to Chapter 11 and also to myself for not sticking with my exit strategy to get out of this company when I told myself I would get out before I actually went in to bought this company. Depression. Losing is never really good. So, sat down, stuck in my rut. Like, boy, I can't believe I just lost all this money, eh? This feels like crap, but like, you know better than this. It's like, you said you was gonna get out. It's like, why didn't you just do it? Eventually, I think if I didn't sell those companies when my friend told me to, I probably would have never accepted that this was a loss and that I was emotionally invested in this company. Anxiety, of course, in terms of worry, uncertainty is always going to play a part in terms of stock market investment. But this one experience taught me that, loss is just not about physical things in terms of the real world. It's like watching your investments go down and you losing money and you being emotionally invested into your money or even your companies in terms of you wanting to be right and you being stubborn. That can also have an effect on your mental health. Guys, if you can't take the punch, can't take the beating, then please make sure that you have someone who can help you to look at those beatings in an objective view, even though sometimes you become emotionally invested in these particular structures and you need someone to help you see that you have completely become emotional about what you are doing. So I hope you guys have enjoyed this story of how I lost over $1,000 in one of my investments, so you guys can see that, it's not always wins for Audi. It's not always wins. Boy, it's not always wins. So before I even forget to mention, PEI eventually came out of Chapter 11 bankruptcy. Okay, so after they came out, I was like, whoa, imagine if I had stayed in with those shares and not sell them, how much it would have been beneficial for me. In addition to that, seeing that if they did not survive bankruptcy, I would have also not been okay with it, so I felt as though the best decision was made with the information that I had at that given time. So you know what I did after they came out Chapter 11 bankruptcy? And if you guess, that is correct. I went in, I bought shares of PEI, which I felt comfortable enough of purchasing at the price that they were trading after they restructured their debt and came out of Chapter 11 bankruptcy. Okay, but if you have enjoyed this particular episode, I hope that you can hit the like button. If you like this particular content, share it with your friends and your family if you want them to actually benefit from it, because even though it was a loss in the stock market, we all deal with those likely 5 stages of grief whenever we experience any loss in our lives. So peace, love, enjoyment, deuces, I'm Audi. See you all next week as we try to continue on this particular mental health and your finances, especially those in the stock market.